In the course of the 30 years of working with animals and working as a vet, I've been able to kind of develop a very simple system that anyone can use and apply without any medical degrees or being a veterinarian or other therapist or chiropractor. You can just apply them. And I think that education quite often is overstated. And I feel that sometimes education actually makes us blind to what is right in front of us, whether it's about our dogs, whether it's about health, whether it's about actually our foremost existence and how we function. So the healing cycle is actually a complete system of healing. And whenever your dog is ill, or before he or she gets ill, ideally you should apply it. So the first part of the cycle is diet, and we know that food is the greatest medicine. And then the second part is detox, so getting rid of toxins. Nature has it all arranged, right? Like it rains on the fields and the mountains and the rocks and cleanses everything, and then the water rinses it off, and the rivers take it down to the ocean. And unfortunately, it all stays in the ocean, right? In the past, 100,000, 2,000, few million years back, the system worked perfectly. The problem is that we have disturbed it. So the last part of the cycle is maintaining and repairing, maintaining the balance, the harmony, and then repair whatever needs to be repaired. We know that the body has an ability to repair to a degree if we don't obstruct it. The body has the ability to repair bones and repair skin and wounds. So this is basically the whole healing system. But obviously it wouldn't be complete if I didn't give you more details, because you just would not be able to use this. So let's go to the next slide. So we talked about diet. Then the next one are supplements. And I have been able to see both situations. Patients who were not getting supplements and were on raw diet, and patients who were getting supplements. And then I also divided the patients that were getting supplements to two groups, depending on what kind of supplements they were getting. And then obviously detox, getting rid of toxins. Our dogs live in a toxic environment. They gather pollutants, they eat different things, they walk on lawns that are chemically treated, they get food, again, that is pollutants depending on when it came from. So all this is super important. And then spinal, nerve, and muscle health. Now the body is an energetic system. It is an electric system. The nerves conduct energy and impulses and lead them through the body. The spine is the main highway of the energy in the body. And obviously we have muscle health as well. And without correcting and addressing injuries and making sure a dog's spine is flexible and healthy, you won't have a healthy dog. You can have a perfectly fed dog. You can have a dog that gets the best diet. And if you miss injuries that happen and all that, you'll have a dog that will suffer. And if you do have back problems yourself, they usually somehow connect to your health, and they affect certain parts of the body. And I'll explain that a little later if we have time. So the step number 5 in the healing cycle is using herbs and natural extracts and concentrates and homeopathy and medicines that are not made of artificial substances. And in my opinion, that's how I work. Conventional medicine is the last resort. And when I started in my holistic practice in the late 90s, when I opened my own clinic, I realized after a few years that it took 80% less drugs, or maybe 90%. I was able to cut most of the drug use in my clinic down to a few, bottles of antibiotics in case of an emergency or something very serious, and a few other drugs, and obviously anesthetics and all that. But otherwise, most of the time, you don't need medication for treating disease. Now, there are still many of my colleagues who are saying that processed food is the best way to feed our dogs. And I'd like to have a conversation, very honest, frank, public conversation with those people, because I do not know any medical doctors who would be suggesting that we should be eating processed food. And we know why that is happening. We know that the education system in the veterinary medicine is very tightly tied into processed food, making and processed food selling. And I had a veterinary clinic, and I know that it's very hard to make a living without selling processed food and drugs. So let's agree that it's without saying that kibble is not ideal and kibble is not the best diet. And I also know that in order for us to prove it, we need to kind of start showing results. And I try to search for studies on raw diet and longevity, and I didn't really find anything that would be worthwhile mentioning here. I thought, okay, maybe we as raw feeders should put our power together and start publishing the dates of dogs that have deceased, and see what food they were on and what they were getting and what they were on certain drugs and preventives, and how long did they live, and then publish maybe the study on how long a certain breed lives on raw diet and processed food. So this is the link. The link is a little more complex. If you do go to my website, it's at peterdobias.com, and you go to specials, and it's under specials, and it's called Dog Lifespan Study. Unfortunately, we all have, or most of us have had dogs that passed away. It can be, though, a way to be with our dogs if we kind of publish them in the study and if they help us, right? Our dogs are always with us and they can help us this way. So I hope that you'll participate in the study, and we'll be gathering the data and publishing them as time progresses. And hopefully we'll see that raw diet is actually better for dogs from the point of longevity. It's a complex set of data, so it may not be as simple. But I know that you and I actually see the self-evident present state of nutrition that dogs on raw food are amazing. They do so much better. I was just recently, just a couple of days ago, I was going through pictures of Sky, and he died about 1 month before he was 16. And I was looking at pictures about 2-3 months before he passed away. And you can read the story on my website, how he died. But he looked amazing. His coat was shiny. And I myself, I'm thinking like, wow, it's really a miracle that we are able to do that, right, together. I didn't post the elephant poop today here. I used the slide yesterday and thought I'll give them something different. I'll give you elephants in nature, right? When they are in nature, when they eat the greenery and the trees and the brush, and then they poop, and the poop ends up disintegrating and feeding the earth, and then the cycle closes. If you've never been to Africa, and if you can go to Africa, instead of Mexico, go. Because it's one of the most amazing places that I've ever seen. And it transformed me and made me understand and realize what we've done to the planet, but also how we must learn to look after it better and restore the cycle that the earth actually, that the environment and nature actually prepared. Obviously, it's a problem for us to put nutrients in the garbage. The most valuable resource is actually a piece of poop. Remember that. It's not golden diamonds, it's poop. And food travels for distances, and that's why we do need supplements. And if you argue with me that, that dogs don't need supplements, I'm fine with it. It's not my loss. And I, one day, a long time ago, I actually thought that it wasn't necessary. And then I started seeing the difference. And then someone would show me a dog, and I would already know whether these dogs are getting supplements or not. Like, it's really that simple. And, it doesn't really show up right away. Like, I think that dogs kind of run on reserves until they're about 5 or 6, 7 years old. But then when they get middle-aged and older, you see it. So what are the essentials? What are the essential supplements? I like to put them in several simple categories for you to remember. So vitamins, minerals, amino acids, omega oils, and probiotics. And the probiotics are not necessarily, dogs can possibly make some probiotics, and that they also eat dirt and whatever they find. So, but they are important in supplementing the proper microflora, because in the environment that we live, again, it is not as easy for them to get it. It's not as easy to get it for us. If you were living in Africa like the Maasai, we would be probably not needing any probiotics. But because we are not living in Africa and we are living in environments that are extremely clean, actually, using toxic cleaning products that are very, very harmful. One of the reasons why we have superbugs issues is that we use super strong cleaners, and it clear cuts the healthy bacteria or the helpful bacteria and leaves the strong, resistant, harmful bacteria. So it's super important for us to just kind of gain the awareness of what we are doing in nutrition and how we are treating our environment, because it's very closely connected to our health. I know that you can go to the pharmacy, local pharmacy, and you can get a bunch of cheap vitamins for a few dollars. Unfortunately, these vitamins could be compared to plastic fruits because they're made from two ingredients in chemical factories. And we'll go to the next slide. Yes, synthetic vitamins are made, beside other chemicals, from crude oil and coal. We are able to synthesize them. But are they exactly the same thing? Are they or are they not? Of course they're not, because they're made not by nature through plants and animals. They're made from very toxic ingredients. And we're ingenious enough to be able to make vitamin C or vitamin B from chemicals, but they're not the same. They're not whole food vitamins. Most people would say, well, why don't we just then get them from food? But again, food is depleted because the plants, in order to produce enough vitamins, they actually need the minerals and all the nutrients that are in the soil. But if they're missing, again, we're getting portion of the vitamins and nutrients, but not all. Synthetic vitamins they're really like the plastic fruit of the vitamin industry. They're very easy to overdose because the body doesn't recognize them. They're not bound in the bioprotein in the food, so the body doesn't recognize them exactly. They can possibly address scurvy or other problems or other issues, but they're not exactly the same. And they're hard for your dog and for our body to regulate. It means that they're very easy to overdose. It's just not the same thing. This morning, I spent about half an hour doing this calculation. I was thinking, okay, I would like to know how much it would cost to make 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C from oranges. And I even didn't consider that there could be some losses in the manufacturing and all that stuff. So I learned that there's about 50 milligrams of vitamin C in one orange. So 3 oranges in 1 pound. Again, I calculated the doses. I looked it up on the internet. And I learned that we would need about 6.7 pounds of organic oranges to make 1 capsule of vitamin C. And it would cost roughly, if we go organic, it would cost roughly about $16.75. And 60 capsule bottle would cost, just to produce roughly, well, not even produce, just the oranges for 60 capsules would be roughly around $1,000. And if you look up at manufacturing cost and markup and store markup and distributor markup, there would be about $3,000 a bottle. It shows you one thing, that first, if someone eats oranges, like if someone ate oranges 1,000 years ago and they were like fully good and we would have varied diet and there would be abundant soil, it tells you one thing, that we would probably get our vitamin requirements from much less than eating thousand milligrams of vitamin C or something like that, or whatever AFCO and FDA and all these institutions are claiming the required doses of vitamins. Basically, we would not need as much if it came from natural vitamins. But you can also see that it is really unfeasible for us to supplement our dog's diet with extracts. It's just not possible. And this is just vitamin C. And if you look at an average multivitamin, it has many more vitamins and minerals and all that. And, it would basically be like this. You'd be deciding whether to buy a car or 2 months of your dog's vitamin supplementation, right? So it's pretty insane. So naturally, at least for those of us who kind of accept the fact that our diet is depleted and that dogs do better on supplements, we know that it's not possible to make extracts And it wouldn't be perfect either, because if we take the oranges and if you squeeze orange juice from um, I don't know, 6.7 pounds of oranges and try to make one capsule of vitamin C, it would not be food, right? It would be, you'd squeeze the juice. It would not be the same as the juice being in the orange, because the orange carries other nutrients as well. So we came up with some sort of other alternative. This is a technology that has been invented by an amazing guy, East Indian guy, who just basically didn't have anything else to do than play in a lab. And he discovered that when you ferment vitamins with the help of probiotic flora and fermentation, that you can actually make whole food based vitamins and they would act like food. And it's not like you can just take cabbage and ferment cabbage and you'll have all the vitamins. So there's technology in it, and it's kind of complex. But the way you can figure out that vitamins actually are different, the synthetic ones and the whole food ones, the fermented ones, is that you eat it on empty stomach. And the fermented ones don't make you sick, and the synthetic ones do make you sick. Try it. I can guarantee you that if some of you actually use soul food, which is multivitamin, you can use it because it's human grade and certified organic. And if you take it on empty stomach, it will not make you sick. So fermentation is actually the way of us coming to a very reasonable compromise, because for cost reasons, we can really make vitamins from natural sources.